In life, we always have choices. But what if some choices are not up to us? What if some of our choices need some encouragement because we do not know which choice is the best? All across the nation, kids play sports. My brother to be one of them. My brother is the second of 6 kids born to his biological mother. All are now ward of the state or have been adopted. John's mother neglected her children, which caused him not to develop as well socially and mentally. John was abused by his mother's boyfriends frequently. A social worker found that her boyfriends would lock him in a closet for hours, beginning at the age of 1. To this day, John cannot be in a room by himself. When John was 3.5, he was placed in foster care. John never fit into his foster home and had problems behaving. At the age of 7, he was institutionalized for the first time. His foster mother felt he had behavioral problems that only an institution could handle. Later that year, John began to live with my family, only to be brought into another abusive home. My father is physically and verbally abusive. John at times can be difficult, and if you have a short fuse or are not used to how he acts, he is hard to handle. Let's just say my father couldn't handle John's personality. The abuse and neglect had a profound effect on my brother, especially in school. To add to John's grief, he also has an IEP. An IEP defines the individualized objectives of a child who has been found with a disability as defined by federal regulations. The IEP is intended to help children reach educational goals more easily than they otherwise would. In all cases, the IEP must be tailored to the individual student's needs as identified by the IEP evaluation process and must especially help teachers and related service providers, such as paraprofessional educators, understand the student's disability and how the disability affects the learning process, which in essence means his work has to be modified due to the fact that he cannot perform at grade level. John will not receive a regular diploma, so they put him in classes that they feel will help him in his future. John suffers from ADD and ADHD, which causes him at times to not concentrate, as well as he could in school. As was said before, the abuse John has suffered shows up in school. He often repeated things my dad said to my mother or us kids. He would at times become violent at school like my dad. Teachers began to complain about his behavior. My mother was called at least once a week because my brother would refuse to do his schoolwork or would become violent with his teachers and classmates. The older John gets, the more my mom worries that John will become too violent to handle. All in all, my brother was the definition of a bad statistic. Then something profound happened. This year, John is in 7th grade and joined the school's football team. John has played sports before, such as baseball and hockey, but has never quite got into those sports. Football has had a profound effect on John. From the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry is the following information. According to this academy, sports helps children mentally as well as physically. It gives them emotional support and positive feedback. It also teaches them how to handle disappointment because you may not win all the time or get what you want in life. A new study from Tel Aviv University suggests sports participation can improve a child's cognitive, emotional, and behavioral well-being every bit as much as his or her physical fitness. Karen Shahar, a PhD student at Tel Aviv University, said that over the course of her study, which included 649 children from low socioeconomic backgrounds, a continuous program of various sports helped improve self-control and discipline and lowered feelings of aggression in children overall. We set out to determine whether sports training would have a positive impact on these children by lowering aggression and how this result can be achieved, said Shahar. Using sports to control aggression is more effective than verbal therapy, she said, because while verbal therapy encourages children to control their behavior, research indicates that it does not reduce negative emotions. This introduction of sport, however, can reduce aggressive behavior by quelling negative emotions. Find something that motivates them, she said. A strong connection with any activity gives children a sense of purpose and decreases the likelihood that they will act out their behavioral problems. John has grown since being in football. He once was a scared little boy, angry at the world. Although he's still far from perfect, John is no longer the person he used to be. John is stronger and just all around better. This could have been you, or your brother, your sister, or maybe one day even your child. Improve the future. Get involved.